Ladies and gentlemen, it's the character of the week. So, today's character week is this guy right here that's always one of my co-hosts on the show, Lobo. Now, a lot of people think that this guy right here started in the 90s. That's when he gained popularity. He's actually was based in the 80s comics, the Omega Man, about like 1983. Standard villain, but then they had nothing to do with him, so just kind of left him in limbo. It wasn't until about 90s when he became like retcon into a bounty hunter that we all know and love today. Actually, Keith Griffin, the creator of him, decided to make him as a parody of the 90s grim and gritty superhero archetype that was going on at that time, such as like Punisher, Wolverine, Deadpool. In an ironic twist, he became kind of like the poster child of the gritty 90s extreme gun-toting violence, hypersexuality, that whole thing. So, it's whatever. Now, he comes from Kazarnia. That's Kazarnia, Kazarnia, whatever. Made up planet, fictional planet. But he's a Kazarnian. Basically, he comes from a race of supposedly peaceful people. He's the outlier. He came out of the womb when the doctor supposed to slap the baby. He slapped the doctor back. Hyper-violent from the beginning, from the get-go, from the jump. My man was all about violence. He probably came out the womb smoking cigar. The over-machismo, hyperactive, hyper-muscular, sexually active, gun-toting, cigar, beer-drinking, whiskey-sipping badass that he is also a bounty hunter, which gives the writer ample leeway for him to be on either side, but mainly he's been portrayed as a villain only because of the bounty that's placed on the hero. Occasionally, he sees him on the side of the good guys, but again, that's all due to the bounty. Again, it's an easy plot device, similar to when I said about Slade a couple of character weeks ago. Powers and ability, pretty much Deadpool on steroids. Strength, speed, endurance, 9 vulnerability, pretty much a cartoonish badass. Now, as I stated before, due to his 9 vulnerability, he pretty much survives a lot of brutal beatings. He's on par as far as strength-wise, people like Superman and Etrigan and other heavy hitters in the DC universe. His origin, as I said before, he's a Kazarian, but he's also the last of the Kazarians. Only because he killed off the rest of the other Kazarians in a supposed science experiment, science prayer project, whatever. But basically, he's the last of his kind, and that's only due to his own hand. Genocide. Such a cool story. Because comics. His nickname is the Main Man. That's actually the name of the episode that he debuted in a 90s cartoon, Adventures of Superman, voiced by Brad Garrett, which is probably the most spot-on voice character pairing I've ever seen, to be honest. Same voice actor, he was also featured in Justice League Unlimited. It was an episode where Superman had passed away, or allegedly had died. He tried to replace Superman in that show. I remember from Young Justice, they actually had like a different take on him. He was less comedic and more of the bounty hunter badass. He was also featured in an episode of Krypton. I skipped that. I never actually watched that. I couldn't take that show. There's a short film version of him, something about to do with Christmas, that's also featured probably on YouTube or something like that. But there's also big talks of him being replaced in the DCU under James Gunn, probably featuring Jason Momoa, which we all assumed he should have been him from the jump. We'll see how that goes. Oh, fun fact. Stan Lee was once interviewed and asked, was there ever a character from the other company, DC, that you would have loved to have created or worked with? And his answer was Lobo. Stan Lee loves Lobo. Go figure. Alright, back to you guys.
Like, share, subscribe.